everyone, and welcome back again to the 80s Movie Den. So, this is episode 4 of my 1980s Action Star series, and we're going back to a more conventional, more obvious choice for what you would consider a 1980s action star, and that's Jean-Claude Van Damme. So, just a brief history. He was born October 18th, 1960, in Brussels, in Belgium. He was enrolled in martial arts at a young age by his father. He became a second Dan black belt in karate, and he competed in martial arts tournaments, kickboxing. I believe he had a professional kickboxing career as well, and it was quite a good one. But his aspirations were to become a movie star. So in 1982, he moved to the United States to try and pursue acting. He was working odd jobs when he first started, and he was in some low budget films. And believe it or not, he didn't catch his big break until the late 80s with Bloodsport. It was actually the first movie that really put him on the map and made him a household name as far as 80s action stars go. And that was my first exposure to Jean-Claude Van Damme, Bloodsport. In fact, I had a buddy of mine in elementary school who introduced me to Bloodsport. He was a huge Jean-Claude Van Damme fan, just a massive fan. And I had never heard of him, to be honest, until I went over to his house, my buddy's house, and he's like, you got to check this movie out, right? So we put the movie in and we watched it, and it just blew me away. It opened my eyes. To more action stars of the 80s, because up until that point, like I've said before, I was really into Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Those were my main two guys that I was watching at that point. And, Jean-Claude Van Damme was just a different kind of action star, heavy into the martial arts. And, so my buddy exposed me to that movie, and from that point on, I was hooked. Kickboxer followed, and I was a huge fan of that movie. These were movies that, Bloodsport, Kickboxer, that I started to put on a loop, like I was doing with the Rocky films and the Arnold Schwarzenegger films, and just a huge fan of the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. I don't have a massive collection. When I was rooting through my collection, this is all I got. I've only got 3. I thought I had Universal Soldier, but I don't. But there are some films that I want to pick up. I wrote some down. Some of his more well-known movies, of course, Bloodsport and Kickboxer, and Lionheart. There's Cyborg, which I've seen. I've seen Cyborg, Death Warrant, Double Impact, Universal Soldier, Hard Target, and Time Cop. So I've seen Universal Soldier as well, but I'd like to add more of those movies to my collection. When I was doing research on him, he's made movies forever. He started, like I said, in the early 80s, and all the way through the 90s and the 2000s, he's made movies here and there. Some relatively unknown films, low budget movies, but he's been very active throughout his career. And correct me if I'm wrong, but is he in the Expendables films? I can't remember. I haven't seen those movies in a while. I'd like to think that he'd probably be in those films, because those movies are a who's who of action stars. I know that Sylvester Stallone asked a lot of people to be a part of those movies. So, but yeah, massive fan of Jean-Claude Van Damme. Like I said, I don't have a massive library of movies, but really the movies that really mattered to me the most, Universal Soldier, I really like that film, so I'd really like to add that to my collection. But it really was, for me, it was Bloodsport and Kickboxer. Those were the 2 movies that just, again, I still watch them to this day. I will throw them in from time to time. They're simple movies, right? As far as the acting goes, but you got to set that aside when you're watching these films. You know, you're not watching them for Academy Award winning performances. You're watching them for the action. You're watching them for the suspense, the excitement, the athleticism. Uh, you know, the fact that he was able to come onto the scene and kind of play a different role. You know, for these movies here, no machine guns, nothing like that. It was purely martial arts and martial arts competition and athleticism. When he would do the splits, it still hurts watching it, but yeah, awesome films, a lot of fun. Jean-Claude Van Damme definitely makes my top 8 for action stars. Like I said, late in the 80s, a late bloomer, but he burst onto the scene and made a definite impact right away with these films. Let me know in the comments what you think of Jean-Claude Van Damme and his films. Let me know what your favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme films are. There may be ones that I don't know about. And yeah, so Jean-Claude Van Damme, number 4. Again, there's no real chronological order as far as my, it's not my top 8. It's just the 8, 8 of my favorite action stars. If I had to rank them, he'd definitely be in the top 5. That's for sure. But doing these episodes, doing this series has really opened my eyes and helped me out as far as learning about other stars in the 1980s other than Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. Because like I said, I had a very narrow-minded view. They were awesome. They're awesome movies. There's a lot of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, a lot of Sylvester Stallone movies. They're fantastic, and you can put them on a loop and enjoy them. But I'd say Jean-Claude Van Damme was the next biggest star for me growing up as a kid. And, thanks to my buddy back in elementary school for showing me putting in the VHS tape. And it just blew me away, especially that one scene with Chong Li when he damaged that one competitor's leg. That part was, that was kind of one of those wince and look away kind of parts, but just awesome, just an awesome movie. So, anyways, so. That'll be it for this episode. If you're new to the channel, I say it a lot. Thanks for joining. Thanks for checking it out. This is kind of the content you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of movie content, heavy in the 80s. But I will cover movies and pop culture from other decades as well. I'm a big movie fan. There's a lot of 90s movies that I'm a fan of, as well as some early 2000s stuff, 70s, 60s. And I will cover those movies as well on this channel, but it is an 80s pop culture and movie channel primarily. I will cover all kinds of cool stuff on the channel. Go back and check out some videos. Feel free to do that. And if you like the content, feel free to subscribe. Hit the like button, hit the bell for notifications, and I really appreciate comments and feedback as well, so that I can, constructive criticism is always good. That way I can improve the channel and provide you with some other videos if you have other ideas as well. So thanks for tuning in. This has been the 80s Movie Den, and as always, we'll catch you on the next one.